briefly introduce the proteins in roasting class, I just want to talk a little bit about the word protein. So a lot of us, when we hear the word protein, certainly myself when I was growing up, and most of the time when I'm speaking with patients, it conjures up ideas of red meat, steak, maybe chicken or turkey, but some people even exclude that from their thought about protein when they think of it. Sometimes fish is included. But I really want you to use this session to expand your thoughts about what that means. And I know that we speak about this in numerous sessions, but protein is really a macronutrient. It's not a food. And so there are many items that we might have in our fridges or our pantries that have a lot of protein that we don't even consider on a regular basis. So in addition to the things like red meat, chicken, poultry, fish, and seafood, we have tofu, tempeh, beans, nuts, seeds. All of those things would be included under that umbrella. In this session, we're really looking at the proteins that we can roast. Pan-roasted chicken, some seared and then roasted salmon, some baked tofu, some baked smoky tempeh that has a really good smoky umami flavor. I'll explain more about what tempeh is in a bit. And then we'll also roast some vegetables, and we'll cover some roasted root vegetables, which caramelize really nicely, as well as some cauliflower for people that are interested in having some other options. And when I talk about roasting or baking, you might see that I use those words interchangeably. They really mean about the same thing. And a lot of times it's just a choice preference in the words that you want to use. But the idea is that you have a high, medium to high dry heat, and you want to caramelize or brown the outside of your ingredient. And that's really all there is to it. Some tips to think about when you're actually doing that, though, is you want to make sure that whatever you do, you're not piling things up in stacks. You have a nice single even layer on a sheet pan or on whatever pan you're using. You don't want to cover anything because the steam released from an ingredient will prevent you from getting that caramelization. So if you're running into trouble doing roasting, then often overcrowding or covering up or just too much moisture is the problem. If you have an oven or other device that will allow you to blow air, like an air fryer, convection oven, for example, then having that air feature also will help to dry and crisp things, and it might allow you to put a little bit more on your pan. And otherwise, thinking about protein-rich foods, again, not what we're covering in this session necessarily, but things that we don't necessarily even think of regularly, like broccoli. Broccoli, for every 100 calories, actually has 8 to 9 grams of protein. And so even though in this session we're focusing on individual protein-rich foods, if you have a vegetarian and well-balanced diet that has lots of colors, lots of different ingredients, whole grains, beans, nuts, seeds, you don't even need any of these things to get plenty of protein in your diet. In fact, most of us have too much. And so I hope you enjoy them. I hope you try something new and maybe even learn to like something that you didn't like in a different way when it's caramelized and has some really good umami flavor.